fantastic plans were being drawn to make this an absolutely bloody war that the French no longer wanted to even continue to fight. They were so overwhelmed. And the British were not getting anywhere well, under the guidance of Winston Churchill, unfortunately. So lives were lost, and it seemed like France was, willing to just surrender. And the British were talking about surrendering because the German army was so overwhelming. But they didn't want the people to give up, and they had to face a certain reality that their strategy was just not working. So anyway, getting of the Boer War, which turned into be a pretty spectacular war. Anyway, you're a little, history buff. You might understand what happened during that war. How does that apply to you two? Okay, well, apparently done is going to be done. Now we have a lot of people threatening people. Let's go after their families and let's hit them where it hurts and let's do this and do that. Mostly people that are playing this war of battleship, on their living room table. All it really is. Nobody's going to really hurt anybody. It ain't going to happen. Nobody's going to take that chance. It's not going to happen. But what you could bet on, if you're a betting man, is that whatever is already in motion will happen. It has happened. Is going to continue to happen. And you know what I'm talking about. There is no hope for Barry Jordan, even on my other kid, him, because the Republican Act rules were broken no matter what. And no matter what defense they could come up with, it's not something they're going to win or dismiss. Neither is Barry Jordan's case. How do I know this? Because I have what's going on with Mr. Jordan, and he assures me of a couple of things and a couple of bits of advice that it's going to go all the way. There's no case dismissal. And now, speaking to the man who heads up the cybercrime division, who's a sergeant, well, he assures me also that this particular case is clear cut. He said the defense is just trying to be defensive. What was put on a Facebook page was wrong, with no excuses, none at all. They could introduce YouTube videos of hate, they could do whatever they want, but wrong. That's the bottom line. There's no defense. So what does this really all come down to? There's a couple of people out there that have committed crimes that are fighting a losing battle. It's either you committed the crime or you did not commit the crime. It's either you did or you didn't. And if you did, the legal system here has to go along with its protocols, procedures, and the fines and penalties of what is going to be ruled as appropriate punishment, which could be jail time and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, my lawyer gets a little bit pissed off at me at times, and I don't blame him. On even talking about even men's right. Okay. So that's going to be the change on here. No, he actually does listen to some of the stuff on here, and he's kind of updated for the most part. For the most part, I think, on what's going down there, what people are talking about. He listens to some other shows, so he's kind of updated on what's going on, down to the point where this goober thinks the case is going to be dismissed. It's not going to be dismissed. It's going all the way. There's nothing going to stop it. And there's probably not any amount of money that's going to help this guy at this point. So I have to listen to his advice. And since he's very aware of what's going on and obviously knows the law and also has been fed with a lot of information on current events relating to such things, pretty much assures me to just kick back and just let the system work. Okay, he says, just getting yourself burned out and all the rhetoric on YouTube is not necessary. You don't have to defend any comments. You don't have to defend anything. You don't have to get into any discussions about what's going on because that's the whole thing. It's going on and it's going very well. I think on both sides of two different people. And, I don't know, people on here, there's a war of attrition going on here. Who could be the biggest hater and say the most horrible things? I was listening to, was it Popeye's show? And you got, what's his name? Nico's Experience on there. And there's so much contradictory statements being made by him. He don't get involved with this and get involved with that, but he does. I mean, it's all a club on here. It's not Club Mediterranean here, but, it's all a club. Okay. Everybody wants to be seen and or heard, except some of the cowards that, they want to go after everybody. They want to go after Brevis now. Well, not that he don't deserve it, but, you know, everybody wants to go after somebody, but it ain't happening with one person. They'll choose somebody at random, someone else at random to go after. Isn't that what it really is on here? And I sit back sometimes when I'm not doing a show and I listen. I'm pretty much current on what's going on here. And they'll even go as far as saying that because I have an ex-in-law that did some dastardly things, that I have something to do with that. I mean, they could say what they want. They could call me every name in the book. It doesn't mean it's real, but it sounds good to other people that hear this. They could build up that little, faux army behind them, which winds up getting annihilated at the end at one point or another. But basically, it comes down to one thing: is that all is good, all is well, all is expected, all will go in the direction that I started. There will be no arbitration with any of the parties. Zero arbitration. Zero. And these are two wars that are being fought, and I will be victorious. And even the situation that went on in Hawaii, I could have been victorious if I would have just showed up. And I thought it was okay to go on camera instead, but I lost it by default. And if you don't understand what default means, it doesn't mean that you lost the case because you didn't have any evidence. It just means that you physically weren't there. That's it. Bottom line. But either way, those people are not going to benefit from that anyway. So who won? Well, it's according to how you look at this. Nobody really wins in a sense, but if you want to think in a certain way, they lost. They lost because there's nothing to gain. Okay? That's it. Nothing to talk about with that anymore. Basically, I'm going to refrain from talking about this shit on here because, well, there's really nothing to talk about anymore. Let the legal system do what they need to do. Roll the dice and just see where they go. But it's beyond rolling the dice. The evidence is out there to convict both these people, actually. And because this other party in Bagot that's going on has been lying through his teeth to his lawyer, and believe me, I'm witness to that. See, it's not going to be seen that way. See, you are responsible for what you put on your social media, even the comments, even comments that are being made on your comment section. Say you're on Facebook and you have a bunch of really nasty comments pertaining to an individual. You, as the moderator or owner of that Facebook page, have the responsibility of what you put out there. It makes you just as guilty as the person who made the comments. A lot of people don't understand that. It's something that I learned. And you could easily say, oh, my name wasn't on that. My name wasn't on that. Well, you allowed these comments on the Facebook page. That makes you equally guilty. You can't just say, I was just trying to help the community. No, you weren't. You defamed an innocent person. And now you're going to pay for that shit. Okay? This matter could have been settled out in a different way, but still wouldn't have done that. See, let me explain something. This is not about money. It's not about the money. It's principle. Okay? Being defamed, what's that word? There's no monetary price you could put on defamation. There really isn't. Money is not the answer to everything, okay? I don't need anybody's money. I don't need anybody's money. Unless it was deemed by the court that you got to go settle this out with X amount of money to the victim, well, that's their choosing, and I'll accept it. But it's not about the money. Nobody's trying to sue somebody to make money in their pocket. When you've been defamed as heavily as I have, there's a principle involved there, okay? It has everything to do with morality. It has to do with proper justice and teaching somebody a valuable legal lesson that you can't do that kind of shit. That's what it is, okay? So for those that think that I'm going around suing everybody, which I think this other guy's lawyer is thinking, oh, you do this often? It's kind of like you're in a bar. Hey, you come here often? No, I don't come here often. I don't drink, okay? And it's the same thing. No, my skin isn't that thin. But when people depict you as something that you're not in such a egregious, horrendous, vicious way, no, No, you have to follow through with whatever you started because you got to make a point so these people don't do it again. And a lot of people that think they get away with this kind of shit on a regular basis, they're wrong. The law always catches up with you if you really did commit a crime. I mean, not hearsay, not something made up, okay? Not saying something because you don't like somebody and tell a tall tale of what somebody supposedly did. We're not talking about that. We're talking about reality, only reality. And let me tell you something, it catches up to you. So, my future shows, I'm not going to be talking anything about any cases. It's actually by a suggestion by my attorney, okay? And it does make sense. Let the legal system do their job. That's it. Don't leave it in the hands of people on YouTube to be your judge and jury. They don't matter in these situations, and they will never matter. There is no immigration office that's going to take a letter from some random person saying, hey, I don't like this guy. He said something bad on YouTube. It doesn't work that way. That's not the protocol of how it works. You can complain all you want to the BI, to embassy. I don't care who the hell it is. You complain all you want. Hey, I know this guy's a bad guy. Okay. They just turn their heads and laugh. Get the fuck out of here. Show me some tangible evidence that we would even make it interested, but you got to do it in a legal way. There are ways that you can approach something like this, but it's almost impossible dealing with the system out here. And if anybody knows that, shit, I know that real well. Talk all you want, accuse all you want, call profanities all you want, do how many shows you want. You're not going to change what's already in motion and which is going to be followed through all the way. There'll be some that will suffer as a result of this. But hey, I didn't commit the crime. Which comes back to that old saying, if you don't want to do the time, don't commit the crime. And that ends that story.